The Prophet ﷺ, before every battle, he would always choose someone for a special task on that day. And they would be the most special person on the battlefield. The person who held the flag. The person who held the banner of Tawheed. On this day, he called for Mus'ab ibn Umair. The same boy that lived in the labs of luxury, who grew up in decadence, now was the most poor of the companions. He used to wear sackcloths of harsh wool that would make sores on his body. When the companions saw him, they would cry, because they remember who he was. Now, the only things he had in this life were his love for Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam. That was his possessions. On that day, the Prophet gave him the flag. Your job, keep this up. Few companions were put on the hill. They weren't put on Mount Uhud. And they were told not watch, because there was a route that could be come from behind. And we know the Muslims gained an initial victory, and the archers left their place except but a few. And Khalid ibn Walid seized upon the opportunity, came back, turned that victory into a defeat. Started routing the Muslims. And then there was confusion. And someone got to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam and struck him and knocked him down. Cut a gash in his face. Took out one of his teeth. And they thought they'd killed him. And they started spreading the rumor, Muhammad is dead. When that rumor began to spread, many Muslims just sat down. They didn't know what to do. Just sat down thinking it's over. And then another rumor came, no, he's alive. So these two rumors were being spread. Then the rumor got to Mus'ab ibn Umair RA that Muhammad is dead, what are you doing? His response, Muhammad is nothing but a messenger. The messengers have passed away before him. And then they said, no, he's alive, with us, protect him. So what did Mus'ab ibn Umair do? He jumped in the front of the lines and started to draw attention to himself. If you want to fight someone, fight me. And someone came and struck off the arm that was holding the flag in his hand. He simply reached down and picked it up with the other hand. And began to draw attention to himself again. Saying, if you want to fight with someone, fight me. So that the Prophet ﷺ could escape safely. And then someone came and took off the other arm holding the flag. The same boy who grew up in decadence, who loved the Prophet ﷺ so much, loved Allah Azza wa Jal even more. It wasn't enough. He bent down and picked up the flag with his teeth and began to draw attention to himself again, until he was struck and struck and struck and struck and struck again, swords and spears, and he hit the ground. Nothing left in him, and he died. The Prophet ﷺ and the Muslims retreated up into the mountain of Uhud. While they were there, the Meccans mutilated the bodies of the dead Muslims, cutting off their noses and their ears and trampling them with their horses. After they left, the Prophet ﷺ went back down onto the battlefield to sort out the affairs of the dead believers. But there was a few people he was asking about. Have you seen so-and-so? He wanted to know, have you seen Ja'far? Have you seen Hamza? Has any of you seen Mus'ab? When the Prophet ﷺ found Mus'ab ibn Umair, they had cut off his nose and ears. They had trampled them with their horses. He had almost 100 stab wounds and spear wounds in him. But one thing they did find was they found the flag was still between his teeth. He never abandoned his duty. And the Prophet began to cry about Mus'ab, saying that you gave everything for the sake of Allah. So they sent people to collect the property of the martyrs, because it gets distributed right away, and then to find their kafan, their shroud. So when they went to get the shroud and the property of Mus'ab ibn Umair, they brought back three things. He had a bowl to make wudu and a ghusl, and half of a shroud. He couldn't afford a full one. And the Prophet ﷺ just cried. This young boy who grew up in this life of decadence now didn't even have enough to die in. He didn't even possess enough in this life to be buried. So the Prophet covered his head and his feet would stick out. So he started at his feet, his head would stick out. So they wrapped his head and they covered his feet in lemongrass and they buried him right where he laid. But we all know, before his body was ever put in that ground, that soul that was attached to Allah and His Messenger sallallahu alaihi wasallam was in Jannah. And every day he is asked by Allah, what can I give you? What do you want? I want to give you more. What do you want from me? And these people who live hanging off the throne of Allah Azza wa Jal, they never want anything. Till finally they will realize one day that Allah will not stop asking us unless we tell Him what we want. And they will respond, our Lord, if you could give us one thing, then let us go back to that life and die again in that same way, again and again and again and again. It's all we would ask for. It was a life that was lived. Even though he barely made it to adulthood, in most cases we wouldn't have ever considered him an adult yet. He lived a life that we will memorize and that we remember to this day. When his name is mentioned to someone who really believes, to someone who really understands, it causes chills. Because this young man set a platform in Yathrib that would have it become known as Madinatul Nabi, upon which the Prophet ﷺ would send Islam to the whole world.